Coming up today on the Locked On Hornets podcast, should the Hornets go after Bam Adebayo? All today, LOA.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. No Doug Branson today. You could probably hear it, even if you're not watching us on YouTube. Doug Branson, when he's here, we have a little bit of a different intro, probably a better one, but not here. So deal with it, folks. I'm flying solo. Doug Branson, still check out his work. Everyhornetsboxscore.com. Evan Hale is here behind the scenes, as he always is. Also contributes to everyhornetsboxscore.com. And I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. I want to get right to it because the podfather himself, the trade machine master, the trade machine manipulator, Bill Simmons, you may know him as. He has a Sunday pod, a weekly Sunday pod that he releases now with Zach Lowe. And in that Sunday pod, they went through it. They talked about the Charlotte Hornets loss. They talked about what the Hornets might want to do this offseason. And Bill Simmons proposed a trade that would have the Hornets going after Bam Adebayo, the guy that might have some sort of beef with LaMelo Ball, the guy that there might be some sort of drama with after what just happened in the play-in game. Also, the dude that does have family that goes to every Hornets game. You'll hear Zach Lowe reference that. But yeah, that guy. Also, the guy that plays for the team that just traded for Terry Rozier a couple of years ago, that were then frustrated because of what they traded for, a guy that didn't help him on the court, and also was a part of a gambling scandal in the NBA. And they've been trying to get their pick back, and then they seemingly settled it. Would Miami even do business with Charlotte ever again after this? Much in the same way that I find it hard to believe that the Hornets would ever do business with the Lakers because of the Mark Williams stuff. Either way, okay, we move past all of that, and Bill Simmons proposes a Bam Adebayo trade.
Is Bam Adebayo on the table? I could offer you Bridges and Grant Williams.
He'd be so good there. Oh, my God.
I could give
Zach
you your
loves it.
27 first back. Now you have it unprotected. You have all your firsts again. I could give you my 14th pick. I could give you that Dallas pick. I could give you a 2029 first. Here's everything I got. Give us Bam. And now I have Bam, Kon, Brandon Miller, LaMelo, and some role guys. Let's go.
Bam is from North Carolina, and he has family and friends that go to every Charlotte game.
You like this?
He'd be so good there.
So Zach Lowe clearly likes it a lot. They would also go on to talk about how going after Bam Adebayo makes more sense than going after Giannis because it would cost, I guess, significantly less. Maybe it would be 70% of the price, 80 to 60% is what they talked about going after Bam compared to what it would be going after Giannis. But lots of thoughts here. All right. The biggest question is always going to be how much do you have to give up? Like that is the number one question that you have to ask yourself going into any one of these types of trades, right? But I have a couple thoughts here. And of course it surrounds Moussa Diabate. Here goes Walker Mehl flying solo. You can't keep me from talking Moussa. But that is the position that you would think Bam would be starting at. So here are my questions. A couple things. One, are you making this trade to upgrade the starting five position and basically upgrade Moussa Diabate, where you send Moussa out or he's a guy that is taking a significant hit minutes wise, which I think would probably be the case anyway. But the other thought is, are you making this trade while trying to keep Moussa, which, who buddy, me likey. Bam Adebayo at 5, Moussa at 4, Bam showing more shooting chops over the last couple of years. 3-point percentage isn't great this year, but it's a threat, 31% on higher volume, about 5 attempts per game from the 3-point line. All right, let's dive into it. Both of these reasons Are you making this trade to upgrade Moussa? 1, are you making this trade while trying to keep Moussa? 2, both of these reasons I think are worth exploring. Let's start with 1. I'm reminded of the Eddie Murphy bit about asking your mom to go to McDonald's when you were a kid. You were so excited. You wanted the Happy Meal, but your mom would say, we got McDonald's at home. And really what it was is like, we got hamburger meat. And yeah, she could try her best at making a quarter pounder, but it's not the same. It's just not. I think defensively, we have Bam at home. Because there was that part about your mom saying, we got hamburger meat at home. She was right. It's not the same, but I will say defensively, yeah, I think you got Bam at home. Moussa has a better block percentage. He's right there as a defensive rebounder. Teams are actually shooting almost the same percentage at the rim when both Bam and Moussa are on the floor for their respective teams. Teams are shooting a decent amount less at the cup with Bam compared to Moose on the floor. But Miami also has better defenders to stall you out at the point of attack than Charlotte does. Davion Mitchell comes to mind. And look, Miami did struggle defensively, to be fair. But POA, I would say you have better guys there for Miami than you do here in Charlotte. Some of this also is Bam and Kalel playing together. Kalel Ware for Miami. Not a ton, 457 minutes with those two guys on the floor at the same time last year. It's not nothing, but they went through waves. I'm not sure there's a lot to consider there. Maybe just a little bit, maybe a part of the equation. So defensively, I think you have Bam at home. Offensively, let's not get it twisted, man. You know I love Moose. You don't have Bam at home offensively. It's a pretty big difference. Bam has so much skill. He is one of my favorite players in the league. I know he plays for that team down in South Beach that we're supposed to hate, but I do love Bam as a basketball player. Moussa is not a 15 to 20 point per game kind of guy with that kind of playmaking. Now, what you do have with Moussa is a guy that got a lot better as a short roll decision maker. He knew exactly what his job was on offensive rebounds. Look for your shooters, grab offensive rebound. Don't even really think about putting it up at the basket unless you are a free man. And really what you do is offensive rebound, kick out. It's like SpongeBob as the waiter who forgets everything but fine dining and breathing. Moussa Diabate forgets everything except for offensive rebounding and kicking out. That's what his job is. So you utilize that to much of your advantage. Man, now you're giving all of these 40% three-point shooters a second bite at a three-point attempt where the percentage goes up for that possession to be successful. You have something there. And you know about all the lineup data with Moussa on the floor, all the stuff we love about letting the moose loose, baby. Antlers. That stuff matters. He's not Bam Adebayo. So here's the question I have about giving everything up for Bam, because it would still take a lot, even if it's not as much to go after Bam as it would be for Giannis. The question becomes, is it worth it to go after a guy like Bam Adebayo? And would it be worth it to give up everything that Pat Riley would call for? Because Bam does embody Heat culture as well as anybody that's been in a Heat uniform for quite some time. Another question. Are you going to spend all that money on the newest iPhone but still use most of the features the old iPhone had? Do you want to spend all that money for all this awesome high-tech extra stuff? Because it's nice to have, and it's certainly an upgrade, no doubt about it, but you don't tap into it as much. Like, Bam is an awesome player. Again, one of my favorites in the league, to be honest, but where would he rank in the offensive hierarchy here? So you're holding on to your trio in this scenario. You're talking about getting rid of all of the picks and then salary filler and maybe some of the younger guys, but you're not getting rid of Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, or Kon Knueppel in this scenario because you're going for it. So you keep your offensive trio. That would mean Bam Adebayo ranks 4th on the offensive hierarchy, maybe at best tied for 3rd. Playmaking is excellent. That's a real difference maker. I love the playmaking at the 5. That's a real thing. But LaMelo also has the ball in his hands quite a bit of time. The Hornets really found something with the Moussa willingness to kick it out on those offensive rebounds, which I just talked about. Is Bam going to go for his more on offensive rebounds, which he grabs less of, by the way, than Moussa? And he also shoots about an average percentage for bigs at the rim. So it's not like you're getting a lot there compared to other guys. So is it worth it to go after all of this extra stuff? Charlotte's offense was number 1 at full health last year. And the problems Charlotte did have offensively, I'm not sure Bam is the first, the second, or the third answer to some of those problems that you had. I will say having a shooting big would be pretty huge in a way that we have not had a shooting big in a long time around here. He would be great in the high post. He can do a whole bunch of stuff with the basketball. Like, that stuff matters, man. I'm not trying to downplay that. My question is, would a bigger screen with a third camera and maybe a couple of other features that you might use, but not as much as you would want to use, for it to be worth the extra $1,000 upgrade, just because of the sheer ability? Are you willing to pay that much money for the sheer ability of the upgrade rather than its functional use that you plan on bringing here to the Queen City? So that's number one. That's the thought process of bringing Bam in and getting Moussa out of here because of the contract situation. Maybe you do find it that you don't really want to pay him like that. That's the question that I have. Do you have all of these new features, but you don't really tap into them? And is that worth 3 firsts and maybe even quote unquote skipping steps the way Jeff Peterson defines it? Let's talk more about point 2 and Jeff Peterson coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Do you think Jeff Peterson is just going to call check? Hey, we love the poker references with Jeff when we had that comment on Hornets Real Access. There's going to be a time. It's almost like the movie, boys. There will be a time when Jeff Peterson needs to push all of the chips in. Is this the time? Or is he just going to keep calling check? Certainly seems like the latter. We'll get to it coming up next, LOH. Before we talk a little bit more about Jeff Peterson, I want to tell you about 5 Hour Energy. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. If you got a sweet tooth like I do, boy, this read just nailed it with what I actually like. I got a sweet tooth. You know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. A zero sugar treat that's sweet tooth approved, and it's how I like it because I also like it convenient. It's just a small portable shot that I can grab whenever I need a little pick-me-up. It's become my go-to when I want something sweet. When I'm, going a little overboard, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I need to have a little bit more energy to keep going throughout the day. Hey, man, Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy. That's the shot for me. Get candy-flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Want to tell you about the Everydayers Club real quickly. Just go to lockedonhornets.supercast.com, and there you can join the Everydayers Club for $5 a month, or you can save 17% with the annual option. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Hornets, an invite to the members-only Locked On Hornets group chat, exclusive access to national bonus shows, a members-only Locked On merch store, and a 60% discount on additional Everydayer Club member-level subscriptions. LockedOnHornets.supercast.com. LockedOnHornets.supercast.com. Yeah, the Bam stuff, I love them. I just wonder, if that's really the answer, because, again, defensively, you're getting a lot of the same benefits with the smaller, switchable, strong guy in Bam. You have that here with Moose, and I just want you to go back to some of the questions that you were asking after that Friday loss to Orlando and what everybody else was asking, right? It's, hey, we need to get bigger in the front court. We need to have a little more athleticism with the height in the front court. We need to be a better rim-protecting basketball team defensively. Offensively, we need to provide a little more rim pressure. Moussa Diabate can finish pretty well at the rim this year, as he showed, but we need to have somebody that can do that on a little higher volume. Man, Bam Adebayo is not the player that you picture when I ask you to solve some of those issues. And again, man, I would love for Bam to be here. I think what I really would like, though, is maybe instead of just having the tall guy, you do the thing where you put a smaller dude on top of another smaller dude's shoulders, and then you have them wear the trench coat, and then they just disguise themselves as a real starting center, except they're really two people in one, and you have the 4 and you have the 5 that are still maybe a little undersized. But when you have two 6'9", 6'10" guys out there at the 4 and 5 spot that are real switchable, now it's not like you can attack them all that well. And maybe you get past one hurdle in a bigger but not the biggest types of dudes, and then the other bigger but not biggest type of guy comes over and swats it on some kind of rotation. See, that I like. And then Bam, having that ability to shoot, that would allow you to play Bam Adebayo with a Moussa Diabate. So that's really interesting to me. Now, the other thing is, Miles Bridges, where are we on the value with Miles? Because he's always the guy that's thrown in to these types of conversations. And it makes sense given the contract, right? This was a contract constructed by Jeff Peterson, I think, to maximize trade value. Now we're going into the last year of Miles's deal, and it's descending value, which makes it more valuable to every other team. And Miles also, maybe you could want to quote unquote sell high on him after what was a good showing against Miami. He was great against Miami, but this team also really values him as that leader. These guys have a great chemistry with him. They love him over there. You can sense it. You see it on social media. I think that Miles is very loyal to his teammates, and I think that's also reciprocated. So is that something you want to mess with, the team chemistry? Because I think the team chemistry, that was palpable. I think you could feel that on the floor with everybody. They all like each other so much. Going after Bam, I don't know. I would think it'd probably be okay with everybody. I think LaMelo and Bam would probably work all that stuff out and whatever. But, I mean, you know what you have team chemistry-wise here, which is why Jeff Peterson, when he speaks at the microphone in the post-game presser in his exit interview, postseason presser in his exit interview, he makes it seem like they're not really looking to be all that aggressive this offseason. Zach Lowe shared the same sentiment when talking about what the Hornets might do.
Bill pitched the Bam to Charlotte trade on Sunday. I just don't think Miami is in that kind of headspace. That's a full-on rebuild trade, and it's trading a guy who they've been very upfront about. Like, this guy is what we represent, and we're like, he is Heat culture. He is us. I mean, Charlotte, we said goodbye to them. I think they're just in a great spot. I don't expect much significant action for them in either direction. I think you let this marinate a little bit. Miami is the one that's, along with, we mentioned Toronto and Golden State, is super interesting.
I think that's the right call. I know I'm a little bit more careful when we come to these offseason questions. I'm sure if you compiled a list of clips that I've had talking about big time trades, I'm sure that I would say no to most of them. And I think Doug would probably be the opposite. I think Doug would probably be saying, hell yeah, let's go after him. Let's get rid of all of it. And I get it. This is, the history matters when the Hornets have not been to the postseason in quite some time. They don't go to the postseason all that frequently in the second iteration of the franchise, yada, yada, stuff you've all heard a million times and you'll continue to hear. And that stuff matters. But I think this is kind of the moment we've been waiting for. When we talk about getting rid of all the draft picks, because the odds of you hitting a home run with your 4th overall selection, they're still pretty slim. Even if this is how a lot of teams get out of the basement, it's still hard to do it. But they just did it. That just happened with Kon Knueppel. Dude might win Rookie of the Year over Cooper Flagg. That might happen. They also hit a couple of singles/doubles, who knows, with Sion James and Ryan Kalkbrenner. So they're making good use of these second-round draft picks. And I think they're attacking the draft in the right way. And so now what you have are a bunch of young guys that if you just go status quo, you expect them all to improve. LaMelo finally has some talent around him. LaMelo improved both in health and in game this past season. Brandon Miller improved both in health and in game last year. Kon didn't even hit a rookie wall until seemingly the last 10 games of the regular season and into the play-in, which, yeah, sure, it matters. We'll get to Kon in just a second. But also, I think my dude was dealing with back issues. Like, I think that was something that he was dealing with all throughout the last month of the year. And, well, I'll save some of the Kon stuff for the third segment. But you kind of got what you've been wanting for quite some time, to where now you hold the cards. Is there any reason that you need to push all your chips in? It's still nice to sit on all of this money. Do you need to do it now? Or do you see what you have until you run into a legitimate issue? Like the way I view this and the way I view a lot of the expected progress for a lot of NBA franchises is you're going up on the escalator. And we often talk about how improvement doesn't always happen on an escalator, but that actually is a part of the comparison here. So you're going up on the escalator and it's just a continual climb up the stairs, continual. And then you hit a snag. Something stops for some reason. Okay, once we get here, once we get to the stop, now we got to figure out how to fix it. And if it's just chilling for a little bit and eventually it'll work itself out, okay, then maybe it's chilling. But when you get to that stop, maybe you actually have to do something to keep it going. And maybe it's just a little tweak. Maybe it's a complete overhaul for you to keep going. But I don't think that the escalator stopped quite yet for this Hornets team. I think you're still climbing. You just had a big improvement of a season. I think there are some things you need to do to maintain that climb by re-signing Kobe White, figuring out what you have to do with Moussa Diabate, maybe making a couple of small moves like drafting some players with 2 picks that you have in the top 20, which is significant, by the way, in such a deep draft class, to where now you just keep adding some of this youth on cost-controlled contracts. This seems to be the way, and I think it's why Jeff Peterson keeps going back to the OKC way of doing things. You saw what Detroit did by building through the draft and then signing some of these veterans. These are all things that we've talked about before. And man, I get it. Scared money don't make none. I do believe that to be true a decent amount of times, but also I can't help but think, okay, making the big move, taking the big swing didn't help Phoenix when they decided to do it with KD, and they got rid of all of their younger, more cost-controlled type of guys, or even when it was time to pay him, they decided to move off of all of that to go after Kevin Durant, which was dicey, but it's Kevin Durant. You got to make the move, right? Unless you don't, and KD's different because he's older than Bam, but you guys kind of get the idea. Now, I guess to use the KD reference again, now the Rockets just did it, and the Rockets are one of those teams that nobody believes in because their offense looks terrible, and I don't know how many people believe they're actually going to make it out of the first round. What did they do last night against the Lakers? Because the Lakers won game 1 even without having Austin Reeves and without having Luka Doncic. And now you're talking about, well, yeah, I can't even find it. The Rockets are down 2-0. So I don't know. It's not even just KD. It's I get the idea of not making the big move and then changing a lot of what you do. If you're going to go after somebody, I do think that part of Bam makes sense. The malleability of not going after this number 1 type of star. Maybe it's a good thing to get rid of a lot of that stuff, to go after somebody that kind of fits within the confines of the offense and doesn't dramatically change what you do. And that way, we're kind of seeing some of those deals happen a little more, going after Desmond Bane, who nobody would confuse as a number 1 option on this championship contending team, but you get rid of all of the picks because it's supposed to work out because he can fit seamlessly in there. I think the same idea was had when you gave up all those picks for Mikal Bridges, but even then it doesn't necessarily work. There's no cookie cutter way to do this. There's no one way to make it to the promised land. I do think when you have this really hard decision, default is always to chill on a lot of the draft picks that you have and the young talent. Like if you're not here, if you don't have all of these assets, well, now you might need to move and shake a little bit, which is what the Hornets already did by trading PJ Washington, by trading Terry Rozier, by kicking this thing off, trading Gordon Hayward, and trying to stockpile just a little bit at a time. But I feel like they already did that. I'm not in any hurry to change anything around here. And you can call me too careful. Yeah, I probably am at times, to be honest with you. But now, now I feel like I got a reason to be real careful. And I just don't know if getting rid of 3 first-round picks at a minimum to go after this monster piece to help you get over the quote-unquote hump, I'm not sure that's the answer that I don't think that's the answer. I'm not sure that's the option that I would be looking at. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Respawn for Kon. Man, it was rough for our guy, Kon Knueppel, at the end of the season, especially seeing VJ Edgecombe ball out the way that he did in the playoffs. What's going on? What happened to Kon Knueppel? I do want to explore that coming up next, LOH. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Appreciate them as always. FanDuel, the NBA playoffs are here, and it's the NBA playoffs where every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified. Every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about FanDuel. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel to get started. FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. More Locked On Hornets ahead. So it was rough for Kon, especially at the end of the season. Everybody's gone through the numbers here. We can look up some of the numbers even more so. After shooting roughly about 44% from three for much of the year heading into that last month, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Another positive Kon stat real quickly before we move on. I was looking at cleaning the glass, and I was looking at corner three percentages. All right, cleaning the glass, just for those that don't know, I've talked about it a lot. It's one of my favorite advanced metric sites. Cleaning the glass negates garbage time stats. So it gets to the most meaningful parts of the game, whatever that may be. So negating garbage time, I was looking at the corner three percentages for everybody in the NBA, and Kon shot 51% from the corner this year on 140 attempts. He hit 71 threes on 100 and close to 40 attempts, right? Whatever it was 51%. So that's absolutely ridiculous. We know 51%, more than half of your threes you hit from even what is supposed to be the easiest spot on the court to hit a three-pointer. That's bananas. It's brain melting. It's all of that stuff, especially for a rookie. Then I started to dig in a little bit more into the stats there and try to figure out who had that high of a percentage on that high volume. Royce O'Neal is the answer, who shot 50% on corner threes on exactly 100 attempts within the confines of what we're talking about. Everybody else that was somewhere even close to what Kon was doing was like 40 attempts, maybe 60, a lot of like 30 attempts, guys. Anyways, just to continue to discuss how ridiculous it was what Kon did this year. But it was a tough finish. There's no doubt about it. If you look at the last 11 here, I'll just go last 10. I don't know why I went 11, just what I clicked on. Let me try to click on the last 10 games going into the play-in. So these stats don't even reflect what happened in the play-in games. In the last 10 games of the regular season, the Hornets went 6-4, and Kon shot 35, just a tick under 35% from three. And it was the twos, man. He wasn't shooting well on twos anymore. 45% inside the three-point arc. And that was on decent volume, 6 attempts inside the three-point line. And he shot 39% from the field. And so really the three-point percentage, that came way down. 35 isn't, oh my God, horrific, but it's not great for Kon. And then under 40% from the field, that's just quite bad, no matter how you slice it. But man, I can't help but look at all of the basketball that he's played compared to all of the other rookies and colleagues that came into the league at the same time. So let's do the numbers here. Kon played 2,600 minutes in the NBA, including the play-in game. Only VJ Edgecombe has played over 2,600 minutes, even including some of the playoff games that he's played already. Kon also played 139 minutes in 5 Summer League games. Remember, they went on that deep run in the Summer League, the championship, the T-shirt, all of that stuff. Yeah, Kon was playing all but I believe one or a couple of those games. Played in 5. That's what the stats say. Played in 5 Summer League games, 140 minutes. He played in the Rising Stars Challenge at All-Star Weekend, and he shot in the three-point contest. And he also almost played 1,200 minutes total in 39 total college basketball games. Only players in the championship game, which was Florida and Houston, played 40, which is just one more than Kon. So he played the maximum amount of games that you could have played at Duke. played as many minutes as like anybody outside of the top 5 percentile. Now you're talking about 2,600 minutes in the NBA for somebody that is real young. I think he's top 20 in total minutes played this year in the NBA too. So that's even a lot for your normal NBA player. And the back injury is real to me. I think that's bothering him when you have a back injury and you have all these minutes. I think that probably does mess with your accuracy a little bit. So you start to compare the minutes that he played at his age. It's really only VJ Edgecombe and I think Sion James as the guys that are in this neighborhood. You got to think All-Star break wasn't really a break for him like it was for VJ, even if VJ played in the Rising Stars Challenge, didn't shoot that night, didn't have as deep of a run in Summer League. VJ, I think, played 2 games in the Summer League. Kon didn't have any injuries except for the one, and he missed that game against Milwaukee after getting injured in Orlando. So he only missed 1 game this entire year. Look, rookie wall is a thing, and I do expect Kon to be back ready to roll next year. And he's going to get a break that he has not had in quite some time. Going to get a long break here. And I think it's going to be much needed and much deserved for my rookie of the year. And by the way, it's going to be a little while until we figure out who the official rookie of the year award winner is, because they announced all of the announcements when they're going to happen, what dates we'll have for defensive player of the year, which Wemby already won, and so on and so forth. I didn't even see rookie of the year that date when it's going to be announced. Didn't even see it. So we're still going to have to sweat this thing out a little bit here in Charlotte. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. Still check Doug out on everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, Evan Hale helping us out, producing behind the scenes. He also contributes to everyhornetsboxscore.com. And I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.